I doubt that that's the case.
All right, we are live. But Lori, he is playing at Moxie.
All right, I'm going to call this caucus meeting to order. In the beginning of the meeting, like we did the last time, we've got the proclamations that the mayor, you're going to present these.
We have proclamations, life-saving, and some awards.
Okay, so we're going to do these right in the beginning like we did last time.
If that's okay with you.
Yep. I'm going to need a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the second regular meeting dated Wednesday, December 28, 2022, set prepared by the clerk. Communications, we have 3 questions or comments on communications. Mayor's report, Mayor Miller.
I will give mine on the floor. It's pretty short this week.
Okay.
But any questions?
Any questions for the mayor on her report?
If I could, real quick, Mike, we didn't make it part of communications because I just printed it off now, but we're going to put it in for the following council meeting. But in front of you, you have a calendar of events. We're going to try to plan these things ahead of time and not spring these on you guys last minute. The ones in yellow are the ones that are city sponsored, and the ones in green are still things that the city participates in. So we're trying to get more of like a calendar going. So if you have any questions regarding those, just let me know. There's a couple new things on there too.
Questions for the mayor? Okay, under committees, Dallas, you need to have your committee convene and add number 2.
Okay. Let's call this finance and legislation meeting to order. Mr. Bayes is absent. Mr. Ballack? Here. Mr. Bigley is here. We got one piece. This is from the treasurer. This is an ordinance authorizing the treasurer of the city of Struthers to open a new bank account with Huntington Bank for the purpose of collecting receipts for medical transport services and declaring an emergency. Chrissy, you want to speak on it at all?
No.
No need.
Other than to say that we're required.
Motion to bring it out?
Make a motion to bring it up.
A second. That's it for finance and legislation. Need a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, thanks, Dallas. Standing committees.
Finance and legislation for January 18th at 6 o'clock.
Any other committees? Okay, there's 2 pieces of legislation, they're both ordinances. Questions or comments on the pieces of legislation?
I'd like to make one comment, just for you to know that number 1 is going to go 3 readings, so it'll have to be passed to a 2nd reading.
Gotcha, yep. Any other comments on legislation?
Why?
There's not an emergency clause in there.
What's that?
Number 1.
Number 1 on number 1 on
Legislation.
the legislation.
Okay,
The emergency
They
clause isn't in it.
Oh, I'm looking at the communications, I'm sorry. No, one here.
Ordinance number 1.
I'm sorry.
We all right?
I was looking at the wrong thing, I apologize.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on legislation? Unfinished business. New business? Go ahead.
Is Mr. Yo speaking, or is that at the end of the meeting? Is that going to new business
What's that?
for the benefits?
We could put it on there, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Mike, you can, yep, you're good to go. I'll have you introduce yourself.
Okay.
We talked briefly last in the committee meeting, so.
Okay.
We have.
You have?
I gave them all.
Oh, you did? You guys were prepared.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody has a package?
Except for Chrissy, Kat, and Mr. Betts.
Okay.
I don't think I do.
Kristen, you want one?
Oh, no, I do.
Yeah.
So you got brochures and a flyer?
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Okay. All right. Well, my name's Mike Yost with Boast Benefits, and we're going to be handling your Allstate benefits moving forward. And I told Kat this could be 5 minutes. I'm not going to take long because they only offer 2 plans. One of the Allstate plans has been here for quite a few years, and they're offering one new plan effective February 1st. So today, everybody should have a highlight sheet and my number's on there, and I gave you the brochures too, and the rates are in the brochures. But I'll just do a quick highlight of the two plans, and then we have the next couple weeks, so if you can take your time, look things over, you can always reach out to me. On the flyer, I have a little tear off. So well, I did this in the last meeting, but you can always put your name and number on this tear off. And this just allows me to contact you after this meeting. But I know everybody's busy and people kind of get tied up with things outside of work. So this will help me kind of track you down if you have some interest or if you have questions. So that's what this form does. It doesn't obligate you to anything, but again, you can always turn this in. I can pick this up after I'm done going through the highlights. So I'll just kind of get right into it. They offer Allstate. There's two plans. These have nothing to do with health insurance. So if you get insurance through the city here, maybe you have it through your spouse or on your own. People need health insurance nowadays, but with health insurance, there's co-pays, there's deductibles, there's things people pay out of their pocket. So these couple plans from Allstate are paying you money when things happen. So that's kind of the difference. Allstate pays you cash, and the cash you get, and you can spend it however you want. It's there to help with co-pays, deductibles. People have bills each month at home, and Allstate sends you a check, and you spend it how you want. So the first plan, now these are two voluntary plans. You don't have to get any of them. If you do have some interest, they take it right out of your paycheck every 2 weeks. And again, these will start February 1st. Those that currently have the Allstate Accident Plan, that is not changing. And I'll just kind of review again. But our office is in Boardman. We're local here, so any questions with Allstate, claims, how to file claims, you can just contact me. Again, my number is at the bottom, and my name's Mike, so you can always reach out to me for questions. The accident plan is for off the job, so it covers you, it covers your spouse, off the job. If you have kids, it's especially nice with kids. Kids are covered up to age 26, but an accident plan pays families cash when there's injuries. Back injuries, broken bones. Yeah, we have some good examples.
Hey, that day that I signed up, well, I was already on it. My daughter broke her foot.
Really? I told her she can come around with me to my meetings because she has some good examples of accidents. But yeah, broken bones, kids in sports, activities, some guys like to hunt, dirt bikes, motorcycles, doing things around the yard. I'm sure as winter comes, hopefully not too icy and snowy, but shoveling snow. And I could probably go on ways to get injured, but this kind of plan pays you some cash when there's accidents. And again, I don't have time to go over all of our examples, but we've used our accident plan quite a bit. They at least give you at least $200 just to seek treatment somewhere for an injury. And then on top of that, Allstate gives you money for follow-ups, therapy, crutches, whatever injury you have, they give you some cash. My most recent accident, I guess I can bring that up because it's quick, but I was slicing apples at home 2 weeks ago. And I guess I was slicing pretty good and cut half of my fingernail off. And I went to the urgent care the next day. It wasn't that serious, but $400 for that kind of accident. Again, I have health insurance. We actually met our deductible, so I really didn't have any out of pocket, but that's some extra cash Allstate's going to send me for that injury. So that's how the accident plan works. And we are a broker. Allstate is one of the companies we deal with. We've dealt with Aflac and some of those plans in the past. But Allstate's really the only plan that does this on their accident plan. They're going to give you $50 back twice a year just to go see any kind of doctor. As long as it's outside of a hospital, go to the dentist, eye doctor, checkups, chiropractor, kids are sick.
Is that for each person on the plan?
2 per person, they pay $4 total for a family. And I mean, I've had my accident plan for at least 10 years, and I'm not as good as turning these in, but there's no time limit, so if you have the accident, like myself, I mean, I might send in some back, like 5 years of back doctor visits, and should get a pretty good check. But yeah, and I'll jump down at the bottom. We have a claims team too. You can reach out to me anytime. But since we're local, we usually encourage people to call us, email us, and we'll help people file claims. So you have a couple points to call our office or myself. You just need bills. Keep copies of bills showing the date you were there. And then we'll help you turn that into Allstate, and then Allstate sends you a check. Again, the rates are in the brochure, but just to give you a quick idea, the accident plan for an individual is $5 a paycheck. These are pre-tax benefits. When you do the math, $5 times 26 pays a year, and you get $100 back for your 2 visits, and it's pre-taxed. I don't want to say it's a free plan, but it kind of pays for itself. So you got very good group rates through the city. These rates you're locked into for life. When you retire, maybe you work somewhere else down the road, you can keep these 2 plans with you at the same rate. So sure coverage. The nice thing is they do payroll deduct it while you're working here. I usually spend a few extra minutes on that. I'm sure I'm up to my 5-minute mark.
That's
But
right.
any questions on the accident? How it works. The last plan, this is something brand new we thought, because these are usually the 2 most popular plans, but there is a new critical illness, and I'm not going to have time to go over all of them, but in your brochure, it's a whole page of conditions from cancer, heart attacks, strokes, bypass surgery. There's a ton of conditions covered. You can choose $10,000 or $20,000 of coverage, and what it does is if you're diagnosed with one of these listed conditions, Allstate sends you $20,000 check or $10,000, whatever amount you choose. They give families one large amount of money when somebody goes through one of these conditions. Hopefully nobody ever has to go through cancer, and people don't like thinking about heart attacks obviously, but it does affect a lot of families, and I think this plan's more peace of mind. If something happens, Allstate again is sending families some cash to help with deductibles, time off work type thing. The big thing for this enrollment, which is why we're kind of doing some of these meetings, we were able to get Allstate to offer this plan for this enrollment where there's no health questions. So everybody's guaranteed to get the plan regardless of your health. Normally if you're diabetic, you can't get a plan like this. If you've had heart issues, maybe cancer in the past, or I mean there's some health issues, but this time around they don't ask any health questions. So if you have some health issues, now might be the time to at least take a look at a plan like this, because you can always cancel down the road. You just might not be eligible because there will be health questions each year we come back for open enrollment. But for this time, everybody's eligible. And again, once you're in, you're locked in the rates, because you're going to notice there's age brackets. It's based on tobacco, non-tobacco. And I got this question the last meeting we did. But if you're in a lower age bracket, maybe you're turning the next age bracket this year, the rates do not go up as you get older. So again, once you're in, you're locked in. Kids are free on the plan, so if you have kids, might as well put them on. Hopefully never, cancer and heart attacks never happen to kids that age, but kids are free and you can cover your family. They do pay $50 every year per person to get a cancer checkup, so they give you some cash for that.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if your spouse is not, obviously, like on your insurance,
Mm-hmm.
if my spouse is not, can they still do this?
Yes. Yeah, this is completely different from health insurance, so spouses can be on it. If you don't have any health insurance, if you get it, yeah, this is different, so you can cover family regardless of who has what insurance and where. Okay, good question. Any other questions?
And the deadline to sign up for this is the end of this month, so our enrollment ends the end of January. So if you're interested, make sure you.
Yeah, technically January 31st, but just for payroll purposes, we don't rush too much. So yeah, probably the next couple weeks give you an opportunity. But again, there's 2 plans, and they start February. And then again, this sheet, I can collect this. I mean, if you want to take a couple of seconds and you can put your name, number, and again, this doesn't mean you're signing up, but this will just help me for later in the week. Next week I can check back with you to see if you had any questions, if there's any interest, and then I can help you get these plans set up. So all the enrollment will come through me. So if you need some help or if you have interest, I can help you with that. We do it right online. There's no paperwork to fill out. There's no signatures needed. So it's pretty easy. But any other questions? Or I did put that on here at the bottom too. One of the things we help with the benefits were a free contact. So call us anytime. We can help you with claims. And I did put it at the bottom too. We also help people with Medicare. I don't think anybody's here Medicare age yet, but when you're 65?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So everybody's younger, but if anybody ever needs help, we know that's a confusing topic, so we're another free resource on the Medicare side too, so feel free to call if you have questions, but yeah, those are the 2 Allstate plans, and appreciate allowing me to take a 7-8 minutes at your meeting, and I'll just go around and I'll collect it, but feel free to reach out to me if there's questions or any interest. I'd say in the next January 11th, so we have a couple weeks left. All right, well,
Thank
thanks
you.
for your time.
Thank you.
See if there's any other-
What's that?
City council.
Use this in the last couple of years.
Right? What shift am I? Evening, afternoon? Tends to this.
You better sign up for critical care just in case.
I don't know what shift I am.
All of them, all the
Oh.
Gloria, put the department
Put
over
it
there.
on.
Did you get a hold of Jason?
Oh, there you go.
I forwarded him the email.
Did you get my email? The number I had is.
That's the number I had.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if he changed numbers and I said.
So put you
no,
March
so I
17th?
forwarded him
March
the email.
19th.
Okay. Yeah,
And
you
it's a
don't-
Sunday, it's
Oh, okay, that's-
3 until 6.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other new business?
I'll be a one-parent family,
Until you tie the knot.
For now.
Report of our law director, John.
right? No report, I'll have my annual at the next meeting. Just
Okay, any questions or comments for the law director? Report of our auditor.
I have no report, I wanted to circle back on the ordinance that the treasurer has presented for tonight and just, again, talk to council about how we're thinking that we wanna treat this department or new money for the EMS services. Has council given any more thought to if they'd rather keep this as a general fund thing, or did we want to try to create a special revenue account for it? Because Mark can open the bank account, which is needed, but is a kind of a separate issue. So I'd have to come with another piece of legislation to either create a fund specific to this, or we would sweep the money out of this account, once a month into the general fund and run it, the department out of the general fund.
Which would it be easier to track and keep track of?
Both ways have pros and cons.
It seems like with the general fund, we're able to use the funds for anything, so that always seems like a better idea, but I'm not the one who has to actually do the work that's involved in that.
I
So
think
that's
probably
why.
for this year, if you go the route of opening a separate fund, we'd have to fund it. Because there's not gonna be enough money, right? So we'd have to either send a transfer or an advance. But going forward, you might possibly have excess money that you're not using that could be used in the general fund. So it's kind of like,
Both ways.
you could do a hybrid, like this year we could do using the general fund and just sweeping it over. And if we're like, hey, we don't have enough, or there's just enough to run to the department and we want to do a special revenue fund, maybe we could then do it in January.
I would say this year, it seems like easiest is probably using the general fund and seeing how it goes.
I'm fine with that. I
And
think-
then-
There's gonna be enough revenue to run this department from this?
That's
I
what
don't
I'm,
think
Not this year, not this year.
that's what I'm more curious to see.
Right.
And whether, either way that you set up the fund, whether it's general fund or a special revenue fund, there'll still be checks and balances where we'll be able to know every penny that went in and every penny that came
Well, I
out.
think what I
if it
would
was
do is
profitable.
I will set up a revenue lines, maybe depending on the sources of how they come, I don't know if it would make more sense to like, it's just itself one revenue, or if we wanna see what's coming from like, what came from Medicare, what came from self-pay, what came from insurance companies, just to like get a gauge for us if that matters, or we'll have to see how that information comes in. But we definitely would want, kinda like we do with the police department, so you have the police budget, and then underneath we kinda have the dispatch, which is almost like a sub-department of the police. We can do the same thing with the fire. So it would split it out, we still see it, almost like it's autonomous, but it is within the general fund. So you're just talking about revenue lines and budget lines as opposed to a separate fund.
So it's a line item under that category is basically it.
So we could track it that way, and from what I understand, the company that provides the service of the collection for us, there's gonna be ways for us to get all kind of reports to look at, to look at the statistical information to determine maybe what is best moving forward.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know how, do you have an opinion, Mark, or what, anything to add, or?
No, I mean, again, to reiterate what Christie said, eventually you'll have to make that decision whether you want it to be a standalone fund. You know, it's going to take a while probably to generate the revenue, you know, and then, you know, if you do standalone, what expenses go up against that at that point? You know, so, the first, it is, it's all unknown,
So
so
are we
maybe
able to
for the,
revisit this next year, like when it comes down to this, and then we can just put it in its own category then, or whatnot then?
So
Yeah.
general fund, I mean, general funded this year, and
then see what
next
we-
year at budget time,
see what we
we generate
generate
it again.
Okay.
and I guess the question is down, you know, as we go on, do you want a breakdown of Medicare, Medicaid, self-pay, or do you just want how much money we generated that month?
I mean, to
I
me, it
agree.
couldn't hurt having more information. The more data we have, obviously, the better. So, you know, if this company's gonna provide us with that, that's great.
Do we need to provide some funding this year though, to get it up and running?
I'm going to assume that, you know, for the first couple months, when we're gonna do the budget, I'm just gonna be guesstimating by information I'm gonna garner from the fire chief as to how many runs they're doing, how many hours, figure out like what's the hours, and then what's the, you know, Medicare.
So off of our
and then
previous data.
guesstimating by what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be, something that we'll have to just watch closely and make decisions as information arises.
So you'll go off the last, say, 4 or 5 months data that we
Yep.
have and
We
project.
guesstimate for the year,
project
and
the
then,
next
you
year.
know, we always amend the budget, so if it's something that
Mhm.
isn't right, we'll increase or decrease as we need.
This isn't something that's new to us, and it's, I mean, we're just gonna have to see how it goes.
Is there certainly going to be busier months than not?
Right.
We don't know that yet, because we haven't seen a full annual cycle
Right.
of it,
And
so,
I'm sure there will be.
sure.
Has there been any kind of income coming in at all late,
No.
as of late?
That's, we
No.
need to set this up to get the
Okay.
income.
Right. No, we will bill previous year,
That's-
previous months.
That's what I was asking,
We will
yeah.
go back a short ways. I don't know how far back we can go. We can go back as
Think
far
they-
as we want, how much Medicare and stuff will pay us, how far back. They usually say a couple of months they're willing to pay.
We've only been active a few months, so the
Right.
sooner we do this, the
Right.
more revenue we'll be able to actually go back and grab, correct?
Yes. And this is just one of a couple more things we have to get done in order to get up and running. And they told us at the start that you probably won't see revenue for a few months. Just the normal operations of getting into pay and everything else.
Well, that's what I
The
was
bills
gonna
will be filed.
But it's always
With the
gonna be in
revenue,
arrears.
Right, that's what I was getting back to. I mean, I know we didn't generate nothing yet, but I was just saying, can we go back on
Yes.
what
Yes.
was?
How many times has it been activated
Yeah,
this year,
okay.
or since we started?
Yeah, I put it on.
A lot more than I anticipated. I can't tell you offhand how many runs we made, but I know there's been several times, just recently, when we had the accident, the double motorcycle accident, and we had a call on another location. We actually had to use our ambulance, private ambulance service, our ambulance, and Poland Township ambulance. So it's definitely useful.
Okay.
Anything else for auditor? Porter Safety Director Bob,
No report this one.
any other questions for Bob?
I have one question, Bob. You remember the house that had the complaints of shooting in the backyard and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay, the neighbor that I talked to about that, he told me that just before Christmas, our fire guys were there, ambulance was there, and our first responders were at that house. Now,
That would be mutual aid probably. It was probably a
Okay.
call for mutual aid.
Okay, that's what I that's what I told him, but he wasn't sure because he thought, is it the house is kind of in limbo on
Yeah,
whose
well, no,
house, whose
it's
property it is?
Poland
It is
Townships,
Poland Township.
but
okay.
we have mutual aid,
Okay,
Greenwood
that's
Camel,
what I
Poland
kinda
Township, Full
thought.
Village.
That's what I told him, so, okay, thanks.
One more thing too.
Go ahead, Rick.
Mr. Schaefer, did you take care of that over there with the license?
No, you know what, Bill told me he was gonna go up there and check on it, but I did not follow up with Bill, so.
Okay. Because you know,
Is this
how-
Believe me,
Omar?
if
Mr.
it,
Schaefer.
yeah, he visits me regularly, so
If this was, is this Omar?
it's on
Yes,
Argonne, yeah.
Argonne and
Harvey.
Hardy, yeah.
Did believe he did speak with them, didn't get a very nice response, but he did speak with them.
Okay, because I knew that when I kind of drove by, there was not one I suspected.
She's claiming it's in the back.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need legislation for this, either to use that in the general fund? Or can this, we were all in agreement, but do we need legislation for next week's for this category?
Or will you just add it as a sub-department of the fire station?
When we pass the new budget, it'll just be a line item in there.
Okay,
Under the fire station, or it's?
miscellaneous,
Okay.
fire
Under
station.
the fire station.
Okay.
Any other questions for Bob? Real fast, I had a conversation with Bob. Ohio Edison's starting getting reports for street light out in Struthers.
What?
I says Ohio Edison's getting reports for street lights out in Struthers. So, to help the process, any of these guys got street lights out in wards, give me a list and I can expedite and bump up the street light repair if they're getting a lot.
There's numbers on the poles that you can get.
Yeah, or if you give me a general location, but the guy that's manages the streetlight reports and says he's getting a lot from Struthers, so to help, if you guys got any specific ones in your wards around the city, give me a list and we'll help speed up the process.
Okay,
Anything else? Motion adjourned caucus.
make a motion.
Second? Lori second.